Hello and welcome to I Heard It on a Podcast, our little corner of the Wild West. My name is Riley.
And my name is Isaiah, and today we're looking to the future and kind of the present, I think,
Yeah,
at the same time. We're going to talk about jobs that currently don't exist but might exist in the future and jobs that are just now starting to exist
mm-hmm.
because of the world changing. So basically, we're predicting the future and maybe we'll pick some future career options too if we find something that we love.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I'll probably ask you that question at the end, is like, which of these would you most want to
Probably most of them.
do? This article that we're referencing is from the World Economic Forum, and it's kind of a response to jobs in general changing a lot because of COVID. And so a lot of them are in what's the word I'm thinking of? Like inspired by how our lives changed, specifically our work lives changed necessarily because of COVID, and how a post-pandemic world is going to change those things in the long term.
Yeah, I think there's a lot on this list, and there are some that I like have kind of thought of as well that I could think add on to this list that maybe aren't as extreme as the ones that are on here, but like are things that I've just kind of noticed over the past 3 years. So
Okay.
let's dive in. Number one is a work from home facilitator.
So like it's like your supervisor at work, but you're not at work. They're just making sure that you're working while you're working from home.
My thought with this was like less of like because I don't know, managers can generally do that now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many studies that show that people are more productive at home than they are in the office. Um, my understanding of this would be more like making sure you have everything you need to work from home and that it's like a smooth experience and it's like standardized across a company. So more of like a logistics kind of coordinator.
Like a branch of HR kind of.
Yeah, so it could be like making sure that everyone has the equipment they need and like moving equipment around between different people's houses and branches and making sure that everybody has the software that they need set up and making sure that I don't know, it could be so many different things, but that's kind of what I pictured when I read this role because I don't think people necessarily need like someone specifically to like watch them while they work at home and make sure they're doing it. That seems not great, but
Yeah.
I can see that, because like when you go and you start a job that's in person, you get like onboarded and you get your tour and like the whole first like week or two, you're with someone that's like showing you everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you work from home, like maybe they mail you a laptop and then like you do everything yourself at that point. Like sure you'll have meetings with people and stuff, but you have to figure out like how do you get onto those meetings and you have to set up your email and everything that has to get done, you have to do yourself. So I could see like someone whose job is to put in place plans and procedures for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I could see that being a job for larger
Uh-huh.
corporations. It doesn't seem like a full-time job if you have less than
Like
100
100
people,
employees, yeah.
probably. Um, Especially since you only really need it when someone's onboarding.
Right.
So if you have an HR department that's like a whole section of it is for onboarding, then that would make sense.
Right.
But if your HR is just like one guy who does it part time in as well as like the IT guy or something, it probably doesn't make as much sense.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of crossover like in this role with other things, like a lot of crossover with HR and a lot of crossover with like IT and management. So in bigger companies, it could be nice to combine those people
Yeah.
and take some of those random one-off tasks from those departments and just put them onto one person. But I don't see it being, for any company under 500 people even.
Yeah,
So
probably. Number 2, fitness commitment counselor.
okay, this one I feel like already exists and is just like reworded to sound fancy.
It's like a personal trainer, basically.
Basically, but this one is like a personal trainer without training you. Like they basically are just like making sure that you stick to the things that you said you're going to.
I think that could be useful in a lot of things. I used to take piano lessons growing up, and eventually I learned to love piano and being taught piano. But then I went to college and I stopped taking lessons, and I barely ever played, even though I had plenty of time to, really. So my senior year, I signed up for piano lessons and like through the college, and I practiced consistently because I knew there was going to be someone who would expect me to like perform better
Right.
every week, and honestly, someone who would be a little bit disappointed in me if I just blew off practicing. And so that like pressure almost of someone expecting something from you and being disappointed in you if you don't grow is something that I would pay for and have paid for before.
Well, then in what situations would you like pay for this person over like an actual personal trainer?
I think it depends on the cost. Like if I knew I want to get better at running and I know how to do that because I've watched some YouTube videos,
Right.
um, and it was $30 a session instead of 100 or whatever personal trainers are, I would consider that. I wouldn't do it for certain physical activities, like if I were learning how to do CrossFit or to like I don't really lift weights very much. So I would use a personal trainer to like create a program and to teach me how to do the program. But I think sometimes personal trainers are just like accountability
Right.
coaches.
Who like can stop you from hurting yourself if you have bad form or whatever.
Yeah.
But
But
okay.
soon a robot will be able to watch you while you work out and say, straighten up your
I think
back.
they already have apps like that where you can film yourself and it like gives you feedback on your form,
Mm,
which is I don't know. I've seen a lot of people at the gym who just kind of show up and like try what they think they should do, and
yeah.
like a lot of gyms like are good about like pointing out bad form. Like if you're gonna hurt yourself, like people will be like, hey, like probably shouldn't do it like that. But I still think it's intimidating to like show up to a gym if you don't buy a personal trainer and you haven't done like gym stuff before because there's kind of like the feeling like you need to know what you're doing and you need to like look like you know what you're doing and you need to like not look like you're
Mm-hmm.
new at going to the gym, and so people don't like spend time researching or like asking for help or anything like that, and then they hurt themselves because they don't know how to squat right or whatever. But
Yeah.
um anyway, I digress. Let's move on to number 3,
Number
which
three.
is smart home design manager.
This one makes sense to me.
I think it's a job already.
Yeah, or it should be like an optional add-on to like interior
Right.
design companies. Um, you have smart homed your home a little bit.
Yeah, a decent bit.
I have not really at all. Partly because it's expensive and it's not really worth it in an apartment, but also partly because it's overwhelming to me. And I'm
Sure.
like, is it really worth it to buy $50 light bulbs, or is it worth it to like replace the lock on my door with an automatic smart lock? So someone to like an interior designer would listen to my preferences and what problems I'm trying to solve and what I think looks nice, and then just kind of add to my current expectation for my house with the caveat or like addition of smart home devices.
Yeah. And like it's an interesting mindset that this person would have to have because they'd have to have the like organizational details and the ability to like listen to someone's needs and like extrapolate that into actionable items they have to do, but they also have to kind of understand the technology behind it and like have a good idea of how everything works together. So you kind
Mm-hmm.
of get both like a very technical mindset and a very like customer facing like communication mindset in the same role.
Yeah.
Personally, like I think I would like to have this job. I think it sounds really fun to like design stuff like this. Um my my thought is it's not going to be a job long term. Like I don't think it's an actual job of the future. I think it like exists now, but I think it will go away in the future because I think as smart home stuff has happened, like it's always been clunky and it gets less clunky as technology advances, right? And so I think eventually it'll be at the point where like you can maybe just tell an AI chatbot exactly what you want. It finds everything for you. It's all from the same brand. It all just works seamlessly. You don't have to do anything to like connect everything together. You just plug it all in. It all works.
That'd be
And I
nice.
think at that point, like people can just do it themselves, if it's that easy. So I can see that happening. And that we're kind of getting there. Like a big problem with smart home stuff in the past is you generally have had to have everything under one brand and one app because otherwise you end up with a ton of different apps and things don't talk to each other. But there's a new standard called Matter that a lot of people are supporting. It's like an open
Okay.
source I don't even know what you'd call it, like platform, I guess, that's developed by 3 or 4 like major corporations, and they just open source it. So generally any smart home device now is included on the like Matter platform and can talk to any other Matter device. So it really is getting to the point where like everything just kind of works together. It doesn't matter what you buy.
Hmm.
So I can see this job being a thing for maybe like 10, 15 years, maybe, and then kind of becoming irrelevant. But
I don't have any reason to disagree. Number 4, XR immersion counselor. And XR here stands for augmented reality.
I think it's like a mix of both VR and AR.
Okay.
I think it stands for
I guess if
expanded
you
reality.
put an A and a V together, you kind of get an X.
I think it stands for expanded reality,
Um,
but with an X, 'cause expanded.
I like my explanation better.
Yeah, that probably works better too. But basically someone who coordinates and helps you figure out like AR, I don't even know, AR spaces and VR
I could see
workforce
this
training.
being a job for like 10 people. You need one for like Facebook or Meta, one for Google, maybe a team for both of these people. But like no regular business is going to have that.
I would disagree. I don't know. I think
You
like
think like a flooring company needs one of those?
I think they don't need it, but they want it. Like it's one of those things that everyone just kind of jumps on.
They don't even want to pay the salaries that they need to pay. Why would they want to pay for something like this?
There's just something about like technologically innovative things that like boards like to do just because it's like cool and it's innovative and it makes them seem like a cutting edge company. And so like you'll see that now with like every company trying to make something AI related, and like
That's
so many
true.
places don't need AI but they just cram it in there. And so I could see this
Yeah.
like, maybe there's a small sprinkler system manufacturing company and they build like this VR suite to like show off their sprinklers to customers. And like no one needs that, but they do it because it's like trendy or whatever. So I can see it. I don't think it's like a necessary job for most companies, but I can see it being a job.
I could see it being a like well-positioned consulting firm,
Right.
where you can have 4 experts service 300 companies.
Right.
But I don't think that most companies are going to have like a full-time XR person.
Sure. I think that's fair.
Kind of that just doesn't make sense. Yeah. Number 5. What is number 5?
Workplace environment architect.
I like this one. I like the idea of this one. It's basically like the workplace needs to be very thought through and like an enjoyable place, or like a enjoyable and efficient place to create work. Like we talked about, it's quite well known that people who work from home are generally more efficient with their time and productive, consequently, while working at home rather than in an office for a myriad of reasons. But if it was someone's responsibility to streamline the work process, everything from like driving your car onto the campus, whatever, the facility, and to getting to your desk, to like starting up your computer, to being assigned tasks and then passing off those tasks, all of those kind of like tangible aspects of the job or a job, I think can stand to be improved. And something small like not having a refrigerator near your workspace might seem like a small thing, and it wouldn't be a deal breaker for anyone in deciding to have a job if it worked for other reasons. But over 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years, not having a refrigerator where you work gets to be kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I don't have a fridge where I work when I'm in the office.
That's kind of a
so
bummer,
I have to
right?
go out for lunch every day that I'm in the office.
Well, you could also pack an ice pack.
I could. I don't have a lunchbox or ice pack.
Both of those things to purchase would be less than one meal.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a different conversation. Anyway, I think it's worthwhile, especially in larger companies, to like really think critically about what the hangups are. And even if the hangup is like the elevator is slow,
right,
like make the elevator faster. If that will save a little bit of time and a little bit of drudgery of having to go to work, I think that ultimately pays off.
What's the like? I don't know, because I get what you're saying, and I think I mostly agree. But the problem with it is like you're trying to hit everybody and make it efficient for everyone
Mm-hmm.
all in one solution. When like people are working at home, they just have to make it efficient for themselves.
That's a good point.
So I could see like I could see this tying in with the virtual office home work from home coordinator or whatever it was, and like helping people make it efficient at home. But I always think like I don't think there's a way to get an office environment as efficient and as tailored to the individual as working from home would be.
Maybe not as tailored, but I do think that there are certain jobs where you can be more efficient working in a like physical location.
Sure.
For example, my brother does like kind of high security work. He can't work
He
from
can't
home.
take stuff, yeah.
Right. So um obviously like they need to make the workspace good because there's not another option for
Right.
those kinds of workers.
And there's always things that like require you to physically interact with the world,
Right.
manufacturing or anything that's not like white collar work basically.
Yeah, I just think that the idea of like dedicating someone as an architect, not just like, well, you work for HR, so if someone asks for a fridge, like maybe look at getting a fridge if it's in the
Right.
budget. But to say like, no, just like we designed the architecture of this building to have multiple doors for efficiency and safety, we need to design the experience of coming to work for efficiency and safety.
Sure.
I just think that that's something that's kind of undervalued in hustle culture corporate America.
And I think it's tough to sell that because there's not a lot of like tangible, immediate dollar value on that.
It probably only costs the company money, but it is better for the mindset of the employee,
Yeah, screw
which
the
is
employee.
which is
Welcome to America.
always a low priority. Anyway, before I get even on a bigger soapbox,
Number 6.
number 6, algorithm bias auditor. So it seems like everyone has an algorithm these days for something, and arguably they're all biased because they're created by humans to factor in certain things. And if you factored in everything, it would just be a dumpster fire. If you factored in nothing, it would only be able to give you an answer to very specific solutions.
Yeah.
So you have to tell, let's say Twitter's or X's algorithm to show people more stuff of what they might like. You might tell the algorithm if they spend 4 more seconds watching a video, show more videos like it, or if they follow this kind of person, encourage them to follow similar kinds of people. But that idea of like what the algorithm should incorporate is based on the biases of a human being, and all human beings have biases.
Right.
Which brings up the question. I know what you're going to
Why
say.
is the
How is another human
Yeah.
being going? I guess you just need like a bunch of different perspectives.
And then you have like a bias editor for the bias editor, and then
Right.
eventually you don't have bias because it's gone through so many different people. Hypothetically.
I agree. I don't think that you can eliminate any bias from an algorithm or maybe anything, but I think that if multiple people from different perspectives look at the same thing and are allowed to change it or at least suggest changes, that can reduce bias.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that I have a lot more to say on this one just because like that seems like a job that like sick people are going to have in like the back room at Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not like they don't have a fridge by their desks.
No.
They're not very highly liked because they just
slow everyone else's job down.
Right, they just tell everyone like this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
It needs to be different. Anyway, number 7, data detective. I don't know what this means.
I feel like this is like again just like kind of
aren't
renaming a job that already exists.
I was going to say like it's not like people don't look at data.
They're called data analysts right now. So maybe this is like this could be for like digging into like historical data from like AI interactions and like trying to figure out why something happened. That's kind of more of like a detective kind of thing as opposed to analyst, because you're not necessarily like looking at data to get something out of it. You're just trying to figure out why the data is the way it is. I don't think,
This one's dumb.
yeah.
It already exists and it will continue to exist as long as we have data and as long as we are in control of the data.
And it's one of the like most in demand jobs right now and like a very high paying job too.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep. All right. Number
Number 8.
Cyber Calamity Forecaster.
That's a cool title.
That is a cool
I would get
title.
a big old business card with like the word calamity underlined.
And like an exclamation point at the end. No, I can see this being a thing. I don't know. There's people who are like safety officers or people who are like responsible to predict physical emergencies and like prepare for physical emergencies, like, you know, flooding or fires or bombings or what have you.
Okay.
So why should there not be someone to prepare for like cyber attacks,
Cyber
and
calamities.
problems? Yeah. Like, can you imagine what would happen if, I don't know, like something happened miraculously to like wipe Google, like the search engine, from the planet, you know? That would be bad. And you can't Google how to fix Google because it's gone.
You'd have to go to Bing.
Right.
Or Edge.
Right. Which is the worst. But like stuff like that. And obviously, I think this job kind of exists to a degree, not maybe to like the level that they're suggesting here. But there are people who are responsible for cybersecurity and responsible for like data maintenance. And
I don't see how this is different from cybersecurity. Like that is already a big field, and people are paid a lot of money to like check the systems, digital systems in our world.
The only thing I can see that's different from cybersecurity is maybe this person isn't implementing these things. It seems like their job is just to like predict
and plan for
and plan.
Like
and
a
then cybersecurity engineers implement.
Cybersecurity like checks things that already exist
generally,
or like plans for things that already exist. But I'm picturing this job to be like if the entire electrical grid in half of the country went down,
right?
Well, how would we change our approach to our website or whatever?
Right. Yeah. So I think that could be a thing, but again, most of these jobs, like, I'm not seeing a wide market for. Like, I'm seeing a small group of people doing this job.
A consulting firm.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start a consulting firm that's like all of these jobs in one consulting firm.
Including the next one, number 9, which is Tidewater Architect.
Obviously.
This one seems a little different than the rest.
Yeah, just a little bit. You talk about this one because I haven't. Yeah.
Okay, so climate change, water increases, everything near the coast is drowned. Or Tidewater Architect comes in, water still rises, but they like push it around or architectize something so that the
engineer
tidewater
is the word.
Yes, so that the tidewater doesn't destroy millions of cities around the country or around the world.
Sure.
This kind of already exists, obviously, if you think about like the levees in New Orleans or
like the Netherlands is like all underwater technically.
Yes, they've been architectizing tidewater since like the early 1900s.
So this is just kind of like a different name for like a civil engineer.
Yeah, this would be a civil engineer, probably has a background, took a couple of classes in like environmental studies or like hydrology or something like that. Probably those types of things. They understand how water works, how much like force and pressure water can have, and how to like redirect it properly. Although really you're just redirecting it to somewhere that doesn't have the budget to hire a tidewater architect.
Right.
Like if we could somehow like create a bunch of levees so that all of America will never be like tidewater risen.
Right.
Wouldn't just go to Mexico?
Right.
Or it would just like creep up on the walls and at any moment they could break and millions of people die?
Right. I don't know. That's a question for the tidewater architect.
Yeah, that's a high-paying job, I feel like, in the future.
I think this kind of exists already, like even specified like this. Like, have you seen any of the videos of like the stuff that the Army Corps of Engineers does? Like they built this huge like scale testing ocean to test like boats at like 1/7 scale or something like that. That like has these huge like iron like 12-foot tall curtains that like push the water to make waves in specific patterns. And like they also built this like I think it's in the Mississippi River, there was like an invasive, I think it was carp, were like an invasive species, and so they built this
Okay.
like carp taser in the river. So like when a carp swims past it, it gets like electrocuted and like tased and like stunned basically.
Does
And
it die?
no, it just gets stunned, and so then it floats back downstream. And so every time it tries to swim upstream, it gets stunned, and it's just like
This was in this century?
yeah, like relatively recently.
That's
Carp are
makes me
dangerous,
feel
man.
weird. I believe that like invasive species are a problem and we need to deal with them, but like just repeatedly tasering them until they die,
I don't think
basically.
it hurts them. They don't die.
Well, they do eventually.
It's just
They're
enough.
trying to go where their ancestors have gone, and then
No.
we keep tasing them until they die.
The reason that they can't go there is because their ancestors weren't there. They're trying to go.
Oh, so we destroyed where their ancestors were, so now they're just trying to live.
No, they're overpopulated and they want to commit genocide on other species.
Well, to them, it's not genocide.
That's kind of like us.
Yeah, we do this. We do that all the time. So
maybe
why is it so
we should
bad?
be tased.
I mean, some of us are, but only the people who don't deserve it. I'm
Yikes.
getting on. I'm
Okay.
Anyway,
Number
10.
Human machine teaming manager. This is just like HR, but for robots too.
Another thing that already exists. Like, you think there's not people managing the relationship between humans and machines already?
Yeah.
This is just a job title
Yep.
given to what managers and HR people and IT people and whoever else does it already.
Yep. Agreed.
All right.
Okay. Well, I have one that I had thought of that was like
Okay.
super minor, not nearly as like technologically whatever as this, but like I was kind of thinking the other day about how many more people now like do grocery orders or like grocery pickups compared to like shopping in the store.
Mm-hmm.
It's like crazy the difference. And like King Soopers didn't used to offer it for free. Kroger, if you're watching not from here, but they didn't used to offer it for free, and now it's like a free thing.
We do it almost every time.
Right. And there used to be like maybe one person to do this, and now there's like 6 or 7 people per store, and they have this whole logistical department. There's a whole back room where you store stuff. They have these trolleys. Like, it's this whole new thing. So my prediction is in the future that stores are not going to become how they are now. Like, you're not going to be able to go in and like pick stuff out yourself. They're just going to be warehouses, and you order everything and you go pick it up. Maybe they have like a small showroom to like test items depending on the store. But I do think like it's way more efficient to just have like people picking items and bringing them out to you.
So it's like what Amazon already does,
Right.
but instead of shipping it, you would just like go to the Amazon warehouse and they would load it into your car.
Right.
Which would potentially be better for the environment.
And like it's easier and cheaper for you for things like groceries and stuff like that. But
yeah, I agree with you that will continue to happen with groceries and things that are like consistent goods. But if you want to like buy a new couch or something, you want to feel the couch.
Yeah. I think that'll still exist, but it's for more like commodity things that you're just like kind of buying routinely. I think that this would make sense in. But
I do not disagree.
Yeah. Well, if you have any other jobs of the future, send them into us and we
or
can
just apply for them.
examine. Yeah, create them.
Put that as your LinkedIn bio.
Become part of our consulting
I am
agency
now a human machine teammate manager.
and never get a job again.
Right. Thank you for listening to I Heard It on a Podcast. We've got new episodes every Monday, wherever you find podcasts, including YouTube.
Yeah. And if you'd like to connect with us, we're on Instagram and Threads. And you can also email us if you want to chat with us at hello@ihearditonapodcast.com.